Audio input.
Online participants, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, let's start. We stopped discussion over here. Let us run through again before we go into the overview. So here I'm trying to explain to you the interaction between the project management process. Initially, we start with the initiating processes, where we are trying to get the buy-in of the key stakeholders and their commitment for executing the project. Then through the planning processes, we are developing our strategy and approach, which we are going to use in managing the project. And then when we finalize the plans, we are moving to the execution, where we need to produce the deliverables according to the stakeholders' requirement, which require coordination with the people and other resources to achieve the deliverable as they require. Then through the monitoring control processes, we are monitoring, measuring, and taking corrective action in order to achieve the work according to the plan, right? Then through the closing processes, we are achieving the formal acceptance of the project completion and ending the project. That's what we are trying to achieve through this 5 process. So when we are executing the work, you can see the monitoring control processes as well as the executing processes. They are having very close interaction. They are giving feedback to each other in order to get the results required from monitoring control and executing processes. And also when we are doing the performance measurement, some of the performance is beyond your control threshold, where we require modification to the plans in order to manage or improve the performance, right? Possible or not? Like I gave you the example as a schedule. If you are having 30 days of delay, you may not be able to recover 30 days of delay, but your action will help you in reducing the delay to 10 days. So these actions may require modification to the plan, change of methodology, change of technology, modification to the procedures, and so on, and will happen. Then in this case, you need to revise your plans. Then we must send the feedback to the planning again. We come up with a new revision of plan, and then we continue our execution, monitoring, control efforts. Here I'm trying to explain to you what are the key deliverables from each process. In the initiating processes, we are only max for 2 deliverables. One is the project charter, another one is the stakeholder register, where we are defining the project at a high level. Then through the planning work, we are developing a lot of plans, like scope management plan, schedule management plan, cost management plan, quality management plan, resource management plan, our communications management plan, risk management plan, procurement management plan, stakeholder engagement plan, change management plan, final plans like scope baseline, schedule baseline, cost baseline, performance measurement baseline. All these are the planning of. And through the executing processes, we are producing the product or deliverables, managing the change request, managing the issues, managing the testing. All will happen through the execution process. Through the monitoring control processes, we are producing the status report, progress report, managing changes, managing issues, all will happen. Then through the closing processes, product, process, or vendor evaluation. What does that mean? When we reach to the closer, we can analyze what are the products we created in this project. What are the product came up very well without much difficulties. What are the product we have faced difficulties? Why we face such a difficulties? Is it due to poor methodology selection, or is it due to poor implementation, or our resources not having right skills? We must analyze so that we can make improvement in our processes and procedures selection, as well as methodology technology selection in the future phases of the project itself. Then in the process evaluation, what are the project management processes we use in this project? What are the processes worked well? What are the processes didn't work well? Why? Where is the flaw in our process? Did we not use the right process, or did we not use the right techniques? Did we not implement the processes efficiently? We need to analyze so that we can make improvement in our project management processes. And also vendor evaluations. We are appointing a lot of sellers in supporting our project efforts, right? So when you analyze the vendors, who are the sellers gave us the good performance? Who are the sellers didn't give us the expected performance? Why? Where is the flaw in our procurement process? Whether we have not selected them with the right criteria, or they have not deployed the right resources, or they have not implemented our plans efficiently, effectively, so that we can able to make improvement in our procurement processes in order to achieve the better results from the seller. Is all done as part of the close. And also during the closure, we need to demonstrate to the stakeholders that we have completed the project deliverables successfully according to the requirements, right? So we need to show them the documents. So what we do? We archive all our project documents in a proper order with a right index, and we compile and hand over, right? And also we are conducting the training for the end users. Why we need to conduct training for them? We created the deliverable, so we understand the deliverable better. They are going to use this deliverable in their business operation. So you must train them to understand the deliverables which you completed so that they can able to use these deliverables successfully in their business operation without any difficulty, right? That's all part of our acceptance documentation. And then you also compiling your test reports, testing, commissioning manuals or operating manuals, warranties, guarantees, all this being compiled and you are handing over to them, right? This is called administrative closure. What is that called? Administrative closure. The other part of the closure is called legal and contract closure. Legal, contracts, and budget closure. What does that mean? When you are appointing the sellers, why you are appointing them? Why are you appointing the sellers? External companies. Why are you appointing them? Because you don't have the resources, you don't have the expertise. So you are depending on the other companies, those who are having expertise and experience in carrying out the different nature of work. All my participants, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Why there are okay, great. Can you hear me now? It may be better. Maybe selection is not correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So why are you appointing the sellers? Because you don't have the resources, you don't have the expertise. So you are appointing them to support your project efforts in order to achieve the objectives of the project, right? So you may call for tender or proposal or quotation, whatever the procurement methodology you use, you are calling for tender, and then they are submitting it, you are analyzing, you are selecting them, and then you are awarding the contract. What is contract? Agreement between the buyer and seller, which is a legal binding between the buyer and seller, defining the rules of engagement for carrying out the project work. Right? So when you look at the agreements or the contracts, what is that? There are many contractual obligations and conditions are stipulated. Why? Why you are putting all these conditions? It is to make sure that they will be able to apply these conditions in order to achieve the objectives of the project. Right? So it will help us in making sure the buyer and seller fulfill this obligation towards meeting the objectives of the project. That's why we are putting the condition. Of course, these conditions were designed based on our risk analysis, which we will talk about later. So you put the conditions, right? Yeah. Project management is the overall management. Contract management only specifically focusing on their contractual obligations on any kind of projects. Also same, it is applicable to all kind of contracts. It's all part of the procurement process. It's part of the procurement. Before you appoint them, you are doing that activities during the correct. That we will talk about under planning and execution stages. So here, while they are executing the work, you need to periodically monitor to see whether both parties of the contract are fulfilling or working towards fulfilling the contractual obligations stipulated in the contract. If they are not working towards certain obligations, you will take control action to make sure they are fulfilling. Say, for example, while you are executing the work, when you look at the plan, we are supposed to submit 20 million of invoice. Who is that? Seller. Seller is supposed to submit 20 million of invoice according to the plan. When you're looking at their actual invoice submission, they have submitted only 10 million of invoice. What does that mean? That means they are not executing the work according to the plan. So are you going to keep quiet? So you need to take control action to make sure seller's performance is improved. Right? The other way also can happen. Seller has submitted 20 million of invoice. Buyer paid him only 5 million. In this case, buyer is not fulfilling his obligations. When we talk about contract, both parties are having obligations, not only seller. Buyer is having certain obligations, seller is having certain obligations. If you look at the seller, key obligation is you need to complete the deliverable according to the buyer's requirement. If you fulfilled that obligation, what is the buyer obligation? You need to compensate the seller. So in this case, we need to take control action on the buyer to make sure he is compensating the seller appropriately according to the plan, so that the project work will not get affected. All these are part of our work in the execution stage. But when it comes to the closure, we need to demonstrate, we need to perform contract closure, meaning we need to review through each contract and see whether both parties of the contract have fulfilled their obligations. And then if they have fulfilled, we close the contract formally. We close the contract formally. What does that mean? That means we are demonstrating through the contract closure, both parties of the contract have fulfilled their obligation. There is no further legal binding between these two parties. That's what the meaning of contract closure. Suppose you are not performing the contract closure, what will happen? You hand a deliverable, they taken over, they started the operation. After 6 months, buyer can sue the seller. Oh, you are not fulfilled these obligations during the life cycle of the project. I'm suing you for 10 million. Do you think seller is going to keep quiet? No, you are not fulfilled this obligation. He is going to sue you for 30 million. So what will happen in this case? They are going to enter into a unnecessary legal battle. Whereas we have every documentation in our hand through the project life cycle to verify whether both parties of the contract have fulfilled their obligations, right? That's why it is kept under the closure. Yeah. That's what we are doing through the closing process. Using this information, we can make improvements. How we can do better than the last project or in the last phase of the project. How is generally happening in the construction industry? When you are completing the project deliverable, you are handing over to the stakeholders, right? When they take over, they start their business operation. That time, we are issuing substantial completion certificate. We are issuing the substantial completion certificate, which demonstrate that both parties of the contract have fulfilled their obligation, which are stipulated to be fulfilled during the life cycle of the project. But there are still obligations to be fulfilled during the defect liability period, which is maintenance period of 400 days, generally in the construction industry. I don't know about other industry. There is a certain period of maintenance support, right? There are certain obligations to be fulfilled during that period. Once they complete those period and they fulfilled those obligations, then we are issuing the final completion certificate, which is the final closure, where we are clearing your retention payment, all the outstanding payments are settled, performance bond is released, all these actions are done, then finally we issuing the final completion certificate, which represents both parties have contract. There is no further legal binding between these two parties with regards to this project. That's the way it is happening in the industry. Yes, sir. Too much traffic? No. They set up this camera. This mic should be in my mic. Okay, now. Sure, because the last time it was set up as this mic, that mic. That's why. Now it's okay. Can you hear me, Al? Yeah, okay. From the phone, it will not be good. I can tell you. My experience from the phone, no. You must use laptop or desktop. Maybe because of the camera setup. Here you can see we are getting the input from the sponsors, right? And then we are using the 5 process groups. We are producing 2 results. One is the project deliverables, which is going to the end users. And we are producing the project records, which is basically project management deliverables, which is part of the organizational process asset. Look at this framework of project management. So as we discussed before, what we are trying to achieve, we want to achieve the successful completion of the project. In order to achieve the successful completion, what we need to? We need to use 5 process group and 10 knowledge areas. What are the 10 knowledge areas? Scope management, time management, cost management, quality management, resource management, communications management, risk management, procurement management, and stakeholder engagement. Finally, project integration. Basically, what we are doing, we are analyzing the stakeholders' needs and expectations. We are using the 10 knowledge areas to manage the project with appropriate tools and techniques. Look at the management areas: scope, time, cost, quality. These 4 knowledge areas are called as core functions of project management. Whereas resource management, communications, risk, procurement, and stakeholder engagement, these are called facilitating functions of project management. Look at the knowledge area, project integration management, which plays a very important role, which integrates all our efforts happening in the other 9 knowledge areas. By utilizing the appropriate tools and techniques, we are achieving the project success. Assuming your organization has 4 projects. All the 4 projects are managed in this framework. All the 4 projects are successful. What will happen to your organization? Your organization success is ensured here. This is what everybody want to achieve. That's why every organization is encouraging you to learn project management. Why? Project success depends on only one person, project manager. It depends on the contribution of all the team members and stakeholders. If everybody well equipped with the project management principles, tools, and techniques, everybody performs the work efficiently, you are enhancing the project success. That's why every organization is encouraging you to learn the project management so you can contribute positively, right? Very good. So you are totally going to learn 49 processes from 5 process groups and 10 knowledge areas. And 10 knowledge areas. So you are having 2 processes in the initiation, 24 processes in the planning, 10 processes in the executor, monitoring control has 12 processes, closing got 1 process. Totally, you are going to learn 49 processes under 5 process group and 10 knowledge areas. Very good. This is the process mapping, which you need to print out and keep in front of your table. This chart always in your thought, always flowing in your mind. You must know, even when you wake up, I ask you, what are you doing in this process? Where is this process? Whether it's in execution or which knowledge area, you should be able to tell me. That kind of flow you must expect. Here you can note that integration management has processes in all process groups. You can see from initiation until closure. Other knowledge areas, you may not have processes in all process groups. Only integration management has processes in all the process groups from initiation until closure, because it integrates efforts of all other knowledge areas. Secondly, you can see the planning processes are to be performed in this sequence. This is the best sequence I can say. Of course, slight jumps here and there we can do, but this is the best possible sequence in performing the planning work. It has to be performed in this sequence. Other processes in other groups, you can perform as you want. There is no particular sequence to be adopted. Only planning processes in this particular sequence. Hereafter, our discussion will only with this chart. For next 9 hours, we will only discuss using this chart only. Only my face and the chart, and you will just listen to me. What is my aim in this discussion? I want to make sure you understand the project management work in a way it is being practiced in the industry. You must understand what are we doing in each process, what is the result of each process, how these results being interacted with the other processes, what is the interaction between the various processes. So while I'm doing the overview, I may talk vertically, I may talk horizontally, I may talk diagonally in this direction. I may talk in this direction, I may talk in this direction, to make sure you are getting the good interaction in your mind. By end of that 9-hour discussion, you are considered as a off expert. That means you know every process, what are we doing, what is the result, how we need to interact with each other to achieve the project results. That's what we are going to get for next 9 hours. Then when I go further, I will take horizontally. I will talk about process. I take integration management. I will talk about process in initiation, planning, executing. I will go horizontally, where I will talk about the tools and techniques essential for each process. Right? That's what the further discussion. So when you complete the entire discussion, then you are considered as expert. You know every process, what to do, how to do, what techniques to use, what kind of interaction required in terms of achieving the objectives of the project. Okay, this is the way I'm going to take you through. So our discussion in a natural way in order to understand what are we doing. Okay. So first process, say for example, sponsor call you. Although you are appointed as a project manager for this project, please carry out the project for. That's what he is telling you. Please take care of the in charge of the project. What will you do? So what is our first step? Our first step is defining the project, which is develop project charter. What is that? Develop project charter. So we are going to develop the project charter. So when I say develop project charter, what does that mean? Project brief. Very good. Project brief. So develop project charter. Where is that? Why is good coming out? Why is coming out? I'm not familiar yet. It come here automatically. Come here. That's correct. Where is my notation? Notation. Fine. Oh, should be fine. Should be fine. Okay. Now, what do we need to do? We need to develop the project charter. Okay. I use my hand. No. You know? Okay. That's the way we use. There. I know. It's coming. So when I go to the next slide, wait. Going down only. Amount only is moving. Right? Yeah. But go to the slide. Correct. Where is that slide? Oh, okay. Okay, now. Well, go to the slide. This here. Okay. Now how to? That's why when I move the arm, now it's correct. You can take another date. Select. Color. Fine. But again, we need to go to the slide. Okay. Okay. Now, let's see what I see. Once you move out, it's not coming out. We are in the moving mode. This is right there. This is this is okay. Now it should come automatically. There should be a way. Why is going back? This is correct, but when you select, it's not in this page only. Because can control from there, but that is board on the. I don't think so, because it's different. You can move from there, right? Okay, keep there. Is there any option there? There is here. Can no. No. Okay. No. Oh, this way. No, that's going in the other direction. Yeah, this one better. This one. Now I need. Okay, now coming. Let's see. It's coming now. Okay. But now where is the option? Left side. It's coming here. That's good. This way better for you. Easy to clear also. Okay. Okay. Now we can know. Okay. Now we can. Okay. Control is on the left side, huh? Okay. Okay, now what we need to do first? We need to develop project charter. What does that mean? We need to define the project at high level in order to make sure all the stakeholders clearly understand what is this project about, what is the objectives of the project, what are we trying to achieve through this project. They must understand, right? So that is our first step. What do you do for them? How many of you involved in the initiation of the project? No. Okay. I'll give you an example. For example, the sponsor is a developer. He is developing multi-properties. So you call me, hello Ravi, you have done a similar kind of project in the past, so I'm appointing you as a project manager for this project. Okay, sir. Tell me, sir, about your project. What kind of information you can tell me at this stage of the project development? What kind of information? Is he able to give me detailed information? He can describe everything now. He may tell you, I need this product. Okay. Huh? Come. No, it's initiation. We are initiating the project. Just project idea. He said, I want to develop a 40-story commercial office tower. He said, I want to develop a 40-story commercial office tower. Okay, sir, good idea. There are a lot of requirements in the market. Tell me, sir, what do you want? What kind of information he can tell me at this stage? He may say, I have a land area of 20,000 square meter. I want to develop a building for 15,000 square meter. I want to construct 40 stories. I want each floor 6 to 8 offices, 1,000 to 1,500 square meter. I want to have ample car parking space. So I want to go for multi-underground car parking. I want my building to be designed as a latest unique architectural intent. I want my building to be protected with the latest fire protection and security systems. Right? Already there are 10 companies requested us to office space in this building. Because we already promoted the property which we are going to develop. Many companies are showing interest. They've given us their requirements for their office space, which also need to be taken into consideration while you are developing the project. I'm ready to spend 500 million for this project. But I want my project to be completed in 3 years. I said, why, sir? Why you want to complete in 3 years? It's a very tough task. No, we did the market analysis. Market is going to be in good condition for next 4 years. If I complete the project in 3 years, I will get 1 year good market period to sell off the units or rent off the units. That's why we're setting the timeline expectation as 3 years based on our market analysis. And also he may tell you what are the various constraints they see in doing this project. And also what are the risks they could see in doing this project. During this period, there are a lot of big projects are ongoing. There is a possibility of scarcity in resources or fluctuation in availability of the material, or the material or equipments could be costly due to the demand in the market. These are the risks we could see. And also they will tell you, in our company, we have multiple departments. We have sales and marketing department, we have engineering department, we have design department, we have construction management department, we have finance department, accounting department. All these department people will help you in supporting your project efforts. They will be involved in the project and help you in achieving the success of the project. Yeah. No, at this stage, yeah, but they're not at this stage. That is approvals or later part in the planning stage, end of the planning stage. Initiation. Yes, from the project idea itself. That's what happening here. So what do you do in order to achieve this? You take this information and then you sit down with the key stakeholders as well as the managers of the different departments they have. We conduct workshop with them, collect the information, and we are putting in a project chapter. So what it generally contains? Objectives of the project. What are the high-level requirements of the key stakeholders? May not be detailed enough. It may be very high-level requirements of the key stakeholders. What are the key deliverables expected from the project? What are the assumptions and constraints they use for initiating the project? And also they will document what is the timeline expectations of the stakeholders, what is the budget they're ready to spend, what all the risks they could see in doing whatever they know at this stage, they are documenting, which is called initial risk list or high level risk. And then they are defining who are the key stakeholders of this project and what level of involvement they have in the project, or what role they may play in the project. That kind of information will be there. Then finally, who is the project manager for this project? They are documenting within the project. Who is the project manager for this project? What is his level of authority? His authority is defined in the project charter. And then finally, sponsor and key stakeholder signing the project charter in order to authorize the project to commence. That's what we are achieving through the project charter. So when I say project charter, the other terminology we use in this industry here, project brief. Project brief, that's the terminology we use. But wherever you go throughout the world, if you say project charter, everybody understand it is an initiation document to authorize the project commencement. Generally from the client organization and key stakeholders. Key stakeholders, huh? It's a single document of write-up. It's a write-up. Generally, it contains a milestone schedule about the timeline expectations. They attach the milestone schedule. Okay. At that stage, they put some milestones like structure one complete, MEP work one complete, architectural one complete, when the system can be commissioned, when we can get the authority, but that kind of high-level planning, which is they put it as a milestone plan, and they attach with the project charter. It's a single document. And it may have attachments, like for example, key stakeholders gave you the requirements, high-level description, which is called as generally statement of work. Here, when you come, you can have any number of managers, no problem, but one person is the project manager. Yeah. So when we say project manager, what's the definition? What's the definition? The person who is going to lead and direct the entire project efforts. So his role is lead, direct, collaborate the efforts of the various stakeholders in achieving the objectives of the project. You know what to do, how to do, when to do. Yes, you may have many project managers. Each package you may have a project manager. Not necessarily. This can be, say, a quality inspection, not the project manager need to be involved. You have the experts, quality management experts. So they will be taking care of that part. See, as a project manager, one of the things which I need to highlight, you must always manage the project as a whole. You cannot go into details. If you go into detail, yes, you must have the full picture, overall view of the project, not go into deep management. If you go into deep into management, you are diving into deep hole. You will never come out. So you are having an overall management effort. Overall management effort. Okay, many people, the tendency is they go into deep into every item. No, in this case, you are putting yourself deep in the hole. So you must be an integrator. Yeah, you must be an integrator of whole. You must look at scope, time, cost, informations, and then you must see the overall progress. What is the problem? And how we can improve. That kind of strategies thinking only must be there. You go into schedule and detail, and you are trying to review the schedule and approve the schedule, quality control inspection, quality assurance inspection, then you are not going to manage anything. You must be a overall management effort must be there. Okay, that is the way we need to practice. So don't go into deep. But you must know everything. You must have overall picture of the project. That's why you are an integrator. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. So when the key stakeholders and sponsors signing the project charter, what does that mean? We are getting their commitment for sticking to the objectives set for this project. The next process is, in the initiation, is identify stakeholders. Identify stakeholders. What is identify stakeholder? Identify stakeholder. What do you mean by identify stakeholders? Here, we are putting effort to identify all the stakeholders as feasible at this stage of the project life cycle. But you already know key stakeholders. Who are the key stakeholders of this project? How you know? We have already documented in the project charter. Their information already available there. So you sit with the key stakeholders, they will tell you, for example, you're sitting with the client organization managers. They will tell you, not only I am the stakeholder, we have the engineering department manager, construction management department manager. All these people will be the stakeholder for the project. So they will be showing you the other stakeholders who are going to be contributing for the project. So what we are doing, why we are doing this process? Because we have a natural tendency. What is our natural tendency? If you take care of the sponsor requirement, everything will be all right. We don't need to worry about all other stakeholders. No. We need to consider all the stakeholders requirement. Maybe some other stakeholders are contributing heavily. Some other stakeholders have very little participation and their contribution is less. But we still need to consider all the stakeholders and their requirements while you are planning and managing the project. So we are trying to identify all the stakeholders. But at this stage, I cannot say you will be able to identify 100% of the stakeholders. Why? Specifically by company name, the person name. It may not be possible at this stage. Maybe you can list out all the key stakeholders and their members. You can be able to list out in detail. Whereas other stakeholders, like we may identify, like I need interior design consultant is one of the stakeholders. I need security consultant. I need safety consultant. I need fire safety consultant. That kind of identification can be done at this stage. So what are we trying to analyze here? We are trying to identify all the stakeholders and the relevant information. Who is a stakeholder? It could be a company, it could be a person. Which organization is coming from? What is the role he may play in the project? What are the major requirements of the stakeholder? What are the key expectations of the stakeholder? Whether the stakeholder could be a supporter to the project, or resistor to the project, or neutral to the project. What kind of knowledge, skills, experience, and expertise they have. All these informations are collected and documented in this process. The process result is stakeholder register. What is the process result? Stakeholder register. So in the identify stakeholder process, result is stakeholder register. What information you are documenting? Stakeholder by name or company, what role they may play in the project, what kind of high-level requirements of the stakeholder, key requirements of the stakeholders, expectations of the stakeholder, whether it's a supporter, neutral, resistor to the project, what kind of knowledge, skills, experience, expertise they have. Why we need this information? Some of the stakeholders are good in procurement. We can use them in the procurement area, in planning and execution. Some are good in quality management. Some are good in scope management. Some are good in schedule management. Some are good in solving the problem. Some are good in communication and negotiation with the stakeholders to get them to work together. So we can use their expertise, experience, and knowledge in various areas of the project, right? So we are treating them as experts, so that it will help us in getting their positive contribution for our project development, right? That's why we are trying to analyze and collect their relevant information. Even though we are identifying the stakeholders in this process, but it is not a one-time affair. We may identify stakeholders during planning, during execution, or even during the end of the project, we may identify certain stakeholders. So it is a continuous process throughout the project life cycle. But if you identify the stakeholders early at this stage, you can able to collect the requirements in the planning, you can able to include their requirements into the plans. But if you identify a stakeholder in the middle of the execution, what will happen? Then you have to identify their requirements. Then in order to include the requirements into our project, you need to revise all your plans again. So which is going to create a impact on our project. That's why we are putting effort at this stage itself in identifying all the stakeholders as feasible. Why I say as feasible? You cannot be able to identify 100% of the stakeholders at this stage. That's why I'm saying as feasible. Clear? These are the two activities we are doing in the initiation processes. We have two processes. Apart from that, there are other activities we need to do before we move into the plan. What is the other activities? If you go into a company database, you can able to see what all the similar type of projects they have done in the past. So you can collect all the project records from the past project. Keep it ready for our reference, which contains all our previous project records of execution problems, issues register, lessons learned documentations, schedule, budget planning, everything is there. Our execution performance issues, everything is there. Why we need this document? We can use this information even to determine the productivity of the resources, type of resources, methodology, technology, because we have done such a nature of deliverable in the past, right? So we have to use certain methodologies. Those deliverables we could complete without any difficulties. Why not use the same methodology in this project? Why we need to crack our head in finding a new methodology to do the work? Many informations are available, right? So which are all useful document for us. This is part of the organizational process assets. Also, your lessons learned documentation, where you could see what all the problem we face in the past project, why we face such a project, what kind of action we are taken, how it has helped us in solving the problem or improving the performance. If you know the problems, you can think of during the planning, how can we prevent such a problem, right? No, it is not part of the process. It's part of the practice. Secondly, your company has policies, procedures, processes, right? Templates, all are available. So when you want to start the new project, you are a new project manager. Are you going to start developing everything new? No. All these procedure, processes, the templates which they use in the past 10 years, How many times they went through the revision based on the experience. Right? All these are good tool for us. We don't need to spend time on all these things. Already time spent, the templates are available with you. We can use it directly. All this being collected and kept it ready for our reference. But you also know that all these templates available with you currently, maybe they've done small projects, these templates easy to use it. But now you have a big project. It may not be directly suitable. You can easily modify it in order to make it suitable for your current nature of project and complexity of the project, which is easier compared to developing as a new from the scratch. Right? You can save a lot of time in terms of developing plans and finalizing the plans. All these are part of our initiation. That means we are getting ourselves ready to start the planning work, which is initiation activity. These are the activities we do in the initiation. There's no further initiation activities. Then now we can move to the planning. Clear? Any doubt? Now let's go to the planning. What is the first process in the planning? Develop project management plan. Develop project management plan. When I talk about planning, what I told you? What is planning? Yeah. What is the planning? Are we trying to show to the stakeholders we know how to develop the plan? What are you trying to do through your planning work? Here you are thinking about how are we going to manage this project? How are we going to manage this project? So how will you think? What is the information available with you currently? Project charter. What level of information is there? High level information. Right? So when you go through the project charter, you can able to realize the nature of the project, size of the project, and complexity of the project. With this high level information, we need to come up with a strategy for managing the project. So the planning is nothing but developing your strategy and approach which you are going to use in managing this project. Not some other part, this project. So basically in the project management plan development, you are thinking about how are you going to plan? First step is how are you going to plan? Where you think about what all the planning processes we may use in performing the planning work. What all the tools and techniques we may use in each processes in achieving the planning results. What is the process involved in finalizing the plans? You need to think. Then when you complete your planning, you can think about how are you going to execute? What all the tools and techniques you may use? How are you going to monitor and control the project work? What all the tools and techniques you may use? How are you going to close the project? So when you are thinking in the project management plan, you are thinking about how are you going to plan, how are you going to execute, how are you going to monitor and control, how are you going to close. You are thinking every part of that until we demonstrate to the stakeholders, we must have a strategy. That's what the develop project management plan. So the result of this process is project management plan. What's the result of this process? Project management plan, which is nothing but compilation of all the plans created through these processes. Compilation of all the plans created through these processes, and then we call it as project management plan, which is basically comprising of scope management plan, schedule management plan, cost management plan, quality management plan, resource management plan, communications management plan, risk management plan, procurement management plan, stakeholder engagement plan, change management plan, requirements management plan, process improvement plan. There are many strategies are being created. When we finalize all these plans, baselines are developed, which is final plans, which is scope baseline, schedule baseline, cost baseline, performance measurement baseline. These are the 4 baselines used. Performance measurement baseline means integration of scope, time, cost information, which is called a performance measurement baseline. Yeah. Some software. Yeah.